Hello, welcome to the AP Literature and Composition course presentation. My name is Mr. Holiday. I am the current AP Lit teacher, and I am here to talk a little bit about the course to see if you would like to sign up for it. So today I will be just going through an overview of the course, overview of the test, and talk about how, given the test, I kind of approach the course and how it's structured. Then I'll go a little bit into the details of what you'll be doing in class, what you can expect to be reading in class. And then at the very end of this video, if you make it all the way to the end, I will be giving you some advice. I asked my current AP Lit students what juniors should be thinking about or considering if they want to join this course. And so I'll end with some of their advice. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll know if you should consider AP Lit. And so, like I said, I just want to start with a general overview. I'm not going to talk through both these things. You do have the PowerPoint at your disposal if you want to go back and look at it, or just pause the video and read through it. You can do that too. But essentially, overall, what this course is about is studying literature for literature's sake. We take a microscope to interpreting literature, and we read some complex texts, and we develop the ability to write about them and read about them, and really engage in literature on its own and go through how to do that. We'll do it in a variety of different ways. There's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of reading, there's writing in paragraph, informally, formally, but essentially it's about a love for literature and a desire to talk about literature on its own. And learning how to do it and developing our skills for those people who are very interested in it and want to do it at a rigorous college level. And so it's for the lit nerds out there, this course. And some of you may not know what the test is. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the test before I went into my philosophy and kind of how I approach this course and structuring the activities that you do in the course. So the AP test in its current form, you can see, is divided into two different sections for literature and composition. The first half is a multiple choice test where you'll be giving a passage of fiction, either prose like short stories, a novel, drama, or poetry. And then you'll be giving some interpretive questions, just asking you to interpret the words on the page of that passage that you just read. Second half of the test is 3 essays that you need to write in 2 hours. And even though the actual prompts are different, they kind of follow the same structure. There will be a literary analysis of a poem that they give you and that you'll have to write a response to. They will give you a passage of prose fiction, either drama or a short story or a novel, and you'll have to write a response interpreting that piece of fiction. And then the last thing is they will give you a kind of topic or a thematic prompt, and you will have to write an essay responding to that prompt about a novel that you know from memory on a specific textual level, and writing kind of a thematic literary analysis, which is similar to what you've done, but all just based on memory. And so I think the biggest takeaway when you look at the test and what it is that we're preparing you for, in addition to just the regular college level literature standards, is also part of this course. But really, when you look at this, unlike other AP courses and other AP tests, there's not a lot of content memorization, right? Everything except for that third free response question is a cold read. It's going to be reading literature that not only have you not read before, but it's not really expected that you have seen it before. It's expected that you haven't and that it's new to you. And it's really testing your ability to, in a timed environment, interpret literature. And so rather than memorizing, this course is kind of really designed around giving you frequent opportunities to learn the skill of refined literary analysis and then practice it over and over again so that you get used to it and you learn the process. And so when you're asked to do it in the timed environment of the test, you're able to whip out those skills and implement them on the test and moving forward. And we do that in a variety of ways, right? By talking about it, you develop that skill. By writing, you develop that skill. You will get exposed to complex text that you can use for that third question, that you will know on a specific level too, but it's really much more about the skill. And what I see my role in as the teacher of this course is training you to be able to self-assess your own writing, right? I'm not going to be there for you on the test. I'm not going to be there for you next year when you move on to college, right? You're going to have to learn to do all this on your own. And so I see my role as kind of training you, providing you feedback when you need it. But really, this course is built around self-reflection and you learning how to identify for yourself what areas you need to improve upon and where you should be taking your own literary analysis. And so more of the specific brass tacks, what we'll be doing in class, more concrete, less abstract, which is where I was before. You can expect a lot of the same stuff that you've done in all of your English classes up to this point, except it's at a much higher rigor because of the college level expectations. You're going to be reading 7 to 9 texts over the course of the year, which breaks down to roughly 100 pages a week. It's going to vary based on the actual text we're reading. Like right now we're reading Hamlet, so it's less reading, but it's harder, so it takes just about the same amount of time. So it's not always going to be exactly 100 pages, but that's the ballpark. It is a lot of reading. You are going to be expected to do a lot of in-class writing. And while we do a portfolio and reflection base, so not every piece of in-class writing will I be grading. It is really involved in getting you prepared to be able to apply your knowledge of literary analysis and literature in a timed environment. And so I know timed writing does stress some people out. It's something that we hopefully will get you used to, and that it won't be such a scary thing, but it is something that you have to be expecting to do a lot when you get into this class. We will do out of class. It's not all timed writing. We do one essay a semester to kind of develop the skills in an untimed writing fashion. There is an independent reading project that students this year have had a lot of fun with to just contemporize our reading list a little bit. And it's a 2-phase project. So there's kind of 2 parts to the project for the whole year. Practice multiple choice tests. And then of course, we'll be discussing a lot most days is you read this, come to class, let's talk about it. And let's talk about how you interpret it. Let's talk about how we would interpret it in writing. And just really engaging, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, in literature on its own. These are the texts that we're reading this year, and I will be updating this text to include some 21st century fiction. Right now it's all pre-20th century. However, the College Board does expect that we balance the curriculum with a variety of time periods. So we are going to probably be keeping like Hamlet 16th century, Wuthering Heights 19th century. So there is some of the older texts that are a little more difficult to read, but we also balance that with some 20th century fiction with Beloved, science fiction, and then, like I said, some contemporary novels that you do independently, and then hopefully we'll also be doing collectively together as a class. So don't get too committed to this reading list, but you will be seeing some of them and then other updates subject to change next year. And then finally, like I said, I thought that the best advice would be whether or not you should take this class would be better coming from students currently taking the class rather than just me. And there's a lot of really great information here. I highly encourage you to pause and to read through all of this because it's really, really strong advice in the language of students currently taking it. But there are a few things that I would like to highlight, some patterns you should find when you read through this. I think the first bullet point, the first sentence, is the long and short of it. If you're trying to decide if you should take this class, you should like literature, end of story. You should want to just talk about literature. You'll see that unlike Honors American Lit, or unlike how some on-level teachers approach literature, right? We're not really going into the societal themes, into the contemporary relationship between literature and real world events. It's much more about the literature and studying literature and learning how to write literary interpretation as if you were going into a focus on literature. And so if you don't have an authentic engagement, a genuine interest in reading and wanting to learn how to write about literature for itself, then you shouldn't be taking this class. because you're just not going to find much to get interested in if you're not interested in literature. Another thing, as you can see in all caps over and over again here, is not to sign up for this class if you want an A. A lot of students come into this class and they are hit with writing or expectations that are very different than what they've had up to this point in high school. And there is a steep learning curve. And the grades that you get usually are a little surprising at the beginning of the year and can take a while to get used to. Not saying that you don't develop. My students this year developed fantastically and quickly, and they're doing very well, but there is a learning curve and you have to be ready for that increase in expectations that AP Literature just hits you with, okay? And then the last thing that I wanted to emphasize is that second bullet point over there on the left. This is a very self-driven class. It is much more about training you to be able to look at global feedback or training you to look at your own writing and reflect on it rather than looking at really specific feedback from me. Because again, it won't be helpful if you're always reliant on your teacher for feedback to be successful after high school. You have to learn how to do that yourself. And so that's where we help you. I help you with that. I'm not just throwing you to the wolves, but it is a very self-driven class, and you have to kind of take it upon yourself to push yourself and to improve based off of the feedback that you get from me in the class. Okay. So I hope I've clarified the class and I've given you an idea of it. I don't want you to be scared about taking this class. You can be coming from regular American Lit, you can be coming from American Studies, you can be coming from Honors American Lit. I have all of those students and they're all doing very well in this class. You just have to love literature and you have to have the dedication to kind of meet the rigorous expectations that you should expect from an AP course. All right. So thank you so much for bearing with me. I think they did provide you with my contact information. I'll put it on the last slide as well. If you go to the PowerPoint slides, my info will be there too. But otherwise, thank you for your time. And hopefully I'll see some of you next year. Thank you, everyone.